And when this happens,
And when this
we will
happens,
allow
when
And
freedom
when
to
this
reign.
happens,
When
when
we
we
let
allow
when we
freedom
let
to
it ring
ring,
from every
when we let it ring.
August 23rd, 1963, 50 years ago, the March on Washington in Washington, D.C., Martin Luther King made a speech. People from all walks of life, young, old, stars, poor, and all came to hear this speech on the March on Washington. It was a day that I will never forget.
I didn't go to the March on Washington because it was an historic event. I wanted to be a part of the people who were there to make a statement, to say, look at us. We deserve freedom. We deserve to be treated as first-class citizens, culturally, socially, church. I think all of those things have more or less changed over time, except for church. We're basically still segregated at 11 o'clock, but a lot of things have been accomplished in the time that we marched on Washington.
When the editor called me in and told me I was the person selected to go to Washington for the march, it surprised me because I was the youngest one on the staff. When I later found out that the older guys weren't interested in going, so by being the new man, I drew the short straw, I guess. Once we figured it all out, I found out that it was not a big deal at the time. Nobody knew what to expect, so there wasn't a lot of enthusiasm either way about it. The farther I get away from it, the more important it becomes. Now that I look at it, my impression is the more things change, the more they remain the same. During this same period, the march was for jobs and equal opportunity. That was 50 years ago. Now we're talking about jobs and equal opportunity. So, as I said, the more things change, the more they remain the same. When all of God's children, black men, white men,
All of
Jews
God's
and
children,
Gentiles,
black
Protestants
men,
and
white
Catholics,
men,
When
Jews,
will
all
be
of
able to
God's
join hands
children,
and sing
black
Protestants
men
in the
and
words of the
white
old
men,
Negro spiritual.
Jews
will
and
be able
Free
to
at
Gentiles,
join
last.
Protestants
hands
Free
and
at
and sing the
last.
Catholics
words of
will
the
be
Thank
old
God
able to
Almighty.
join
Negro
hands
We're
spiritual.
and
free
sing in the
at
words
Free at
last.
of the
last.
old Negro
Free at
spiritual,
last.
free
Thank
at
God
last,
Almighty, we
free
are
at
free at
last.
last.
Thank God Almighty, we are free at last.